Cheltenham may have passed for another year, but the big race on Saturday is the Midlands Grand National. Here to try and find the winner of it, I've been joined by Nick Watts, Wally Pyra and David Hood. And Nick, Victor Dartnell won the race last year. He's got Giles Cross in it this year. Thinks he could win it again?
Well, he obviously thinks he's got a chance. He could have probably run in a 4-miler here earlier in the week. He looked just the type of horse for that. He didn't put him in that. He saved him instead for this. Good form this season. He's got form with Synchronised from Chepstow earlier in the year. Got a bit of ground to make up with him, but he's slightly better off at the weights. Good run last time behind Mabasha. That's solid form over 3-2. He looks the sort who will handle long distances, and Victor Dartnell, a very good trainer of a long distance chaser, so yeah, you'd have to give him a chance.
Yeah, and he carries 10 stone 11, but top weights don't have a very good record in the race. The last few winners have all carried much less. We've got Halcon Genelades in at the top with Miko de Beauchesne. Can you make a case for either of them, Wally?
In a word, no. The reason I say is that both of these horses have been a little bit out of form. I don't actually think the two stables are in form, Alan King and Venetia Williams. I felt that Miko de Beauchesne is more of a soft ground horse. I think a Halcon Genelades is, and that ground is not going to be light. I know we've got this band of rain coming over, but I don't think that's going to make too much difference. So you've asked me what I think, can I make a case for him? The answer is no, I can't.
And David, after such a busy week of punting activity, this a little bit quieter, but what can you see going off favourite in the end?
I wish I had a crystal ball for that one. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a competitive heat. I think Synchronised. I think we've mentioned Victor Dartnell's runner here, Giles Cross. I think the Irish runners are very interesting. Jessica Harrington's, particularly Badger's Law, who was 5th behind War of Attrition in the Boyne Hurdle last time. And you know, when I started to go back a long way in that form to find why she would necessarily target the Midlands National. And I got back to spring last year, April, when he won a 3-mile handicap chase at Cork. Since then, opportunity's been a bit strange. He's run a few times over chases over a shorter trip, and then he's run most recently over hurdles. Interesting that she should suddenly decide to bung him in here in the Midlands National. And I, you know, just have a little sneaky feeling we might see a few euros for that on the day.
Okay, so good case there for Badger Law. Nick, anything you can make a strong case for?
Well, there's two novices in the race that caught my eye. Synchronised is one of them. He looks a horse who's going to be well suited to 4 miles. His jumping can be a bit sticky, and I would keep an eye on the weather forecast, as what he said prior to this race tomorrow. There is a band of rain coming, and if it does come, the softer the ground, the better for Synchronised. It'll just help him slow up the others. It'll help him get into a rhythm, and I could see him going very well. He was pulled out here on Wednesday on account of the ground, so he would want to see some rain. The novice who does really interest me is a horse called Ballydub. He was a 145 rated hurdler last season. Actually started favourite for a race here, won by big bucks. So he was very highly regarded as a hurdler. Taken a long time to get the hang of fences, but I just sense that there was a bit more optimism from his last 2 runs. He finished 2nd behind Heathcliff at Ludlow, then another good run last time behind Emperor Concerto. He's on a mark of 128 over fences, so if he can get it together, and he does look like a proper stayer. Philip Hobbs has had a tremendous week here already, and he's off a lightweight. I think Ballydub could go very close.
Okay, so Synchronised and Ballydub for you. Wally, where would your money be going?
Well, it was interesting what Nick said about Ballydub, because unfortunately I have to give a chance to the stable companion there, Cornati Kid. If I want to ignore its last run, because it was absolutely desperate. The time before, when it ran a very promising 6th, Richard Johnson's on it. I think it's got a big chance, but it's unfortunate we haven't got our long shot man here, Ed Quigley, because I would love to ask him about a horse there near the bottom of the handicap called Oscar Park, who's a most peculiar jumper, but I think there is a big race in this horse. The jockey on it, Timmy Murphy, again. Now, Timmy Murphy certainly looks after himself, and you know, to me it's a pointer in it himself that in fact he's riding this horse again. It's going to be a massive price, but what I'm worried about is Ed Quigley might put it up as his best outsider.
And David, what would be your selection in the race then?
Well, I mentioned Badger's Law, and I do think that he's very interesting preparation for this race, and I have a lot of respect for Jessica Harrington. I thought Mark the Book was an interesting one, to be honest with you, for Philip Hobbs. He's had 2 winners at the festival. You know, we talk about horses that are novices. This fella's had a run in a handicap at Wincanton, a heavy ground, made a few mistakes, but prior to that, his win at Chepstow, he absolutely bolted up. The problem is the ground. ground. He's been running over the winter on heavy. It's not going to be heavy at Uttoxeter on Saturday afternoon. He might just be on the easy side of good, and that will turn the form book upside down. But I think he's progressive. And the other one was Henry Daly's Sherwood's Folly. I gave a little bit of a chance to. So Trappy Heat, the Midlands National always is. I'm going to go with the Irish though, with Badger's Law.
Well, thanks guys. Don't forget you can see all the highlights to Uttoxeter's card on the Racing Review here on RPTV.